So honestly, I'm so honored to be here, and most importantly, we started talking about it yesterday, that this is a collaboration and sharing ideas. And it's interesting how the order of the presenters is that, you know, we go really big from Asia, then we go to Australia, and now we're in the United States. You know, we're in our infancy, so to speak, comparatively, historically. And I'm thrilled that we have Tubunch and Glen Ivy so we can be sharing ideas about the American evolution, so to speak, because it's exploding right now. And for our presentation for the summit, I'm a data junkie. I do a lot of reading, so I've been researching a lot about America's curative towns, so to speak, and the history of water culture. And there's been a lot of towns and cities that primarily revolved around hot springs, you know, evolved, so to speak. And you can see some fabulous photos. I mean, this is Hot Springs, Arkansas over here. I don't know how to use your clicker, John. And then in Saratoga Springs, which we had Jay Paul come out to Sunrise just a few months ago. And so we were talking again about the legacy of walking with water, drinking water, you know, this water experience. Marianne, we talked about Balsusa, you know, with the arm baths and the foot baths. And at Ojo Caliente, we're one of the oldest natural hot springs in the country, right up there with Glen Ivy. And our hotel will be 100 years old next year in 2016. And then the Hot Springs Resort will be 150 years old in 2018. So it's remarkable for us. And but it's fascinating. Sunrise Springs, which is our new property in Santa Fe, is cold springs. And it's mineral neutral, whereas Ojo is, as far as we know, one of the only hot springs in the world that has 4 unique sulfur-free mineral waters, which is, I was saying, arsenic, lithia, soda, and iron, arsenic, lithia, soda. No, iron, arsenic. Yes, okay. Guys, I'm still like on, I don't know what time zone. And I know, you know, Tubunch has lithia as well. But we thought it was fascinating how we are right now immersed in integrative wellness in what we're doing at Sunrise, but also realizing that we've been doing wellness and well-being, and the hot springs history was rooted in medical wellness and therapeutic wellness for many, many, many years. You can see, so Ojo was built in 1868, and we have these fabulous photos back from the 1930s and 40s, and it was our President Roosevelt who really made taking the water so popular in the United States. He had polio, and he spent a lot of time in New York, but it was there where, during this time period, at Ojo in particular, people would go for the 28-day cure. They would go, there would be medical doctors and nurses and bath attendants, and it was a much more therapeutic model, and it was mostly physically based. So we didn't do the drinking water per se like they had in Saratoga. And it was very interesting that there was a whole gambling connection with the mob in the United States early on. Like, they would build casinos, and I'm sure, you know, some of this is actually extracted from our presentation we'll be doing at the summit. And casinos were massive in terms of hot springs in the United States. And then we'll see during David Clay Large and when Tom speaks that it also was in Europe as well. So it's fascinating. And I think the other piece, which I love how, again, we're segueing information, is this community aspect, is that even though originally that stemmed from a more medical, therapeutic environment, it was very social. It was very social. It was very community-based. Towns were developed because of this, the gambling piece and all of that. So the social environment was huge. And so what's old is new again. So here's one of the pictures. We also have a mud experience at Ojo. It's fascinating that we harvest our mud in New Mexico. And just as Charles was pointing out, it's very detoxifying. You know, I grabbed some photos from our partners, Tubunch and Glen Ivy, too. You can't see because it's a little dark here, but I love that they're doing movie nights, so you can be soaking and watching movies from the pools. And we have just also noticed, again, I'm fascinated with data, that the demographics are expanding dramatically. It's no longer just the elderly who are coming for ailments. I mean, now, welcome to the 50s, I just found out I have arthritis in my feet. So one of the benefits of soaking in arsenic water helps arthritis. So the curative benefits for lithia is said to believe to help digestive. And again, lithium, the drug, help with antidepressive Components, mood stabilizers, mood boosters, soda, which is sodium bicarbonate, very good for your digestive system, and then iron, very good for the blood and immune system. So, but again, we're seeing a younger demographic start to gravitate towards the hot springs. At OHO, again, we're small. I mean, Peninsula, you have about 400,000 guests a year, maybe 1,000 people a day. At OHO, we have 130,000 guests annually. And we had every year, again, I've been with the company for 10.5 years. We've seen double-digit growth year after year. And this is our largest year on record. We average 95% occupancy for the year. And we're building 12 new rooms. We're expanding our restaurant. But again, it's the social component. And so we've talked about the other thing that I look forward to sharing ideas about is how do you control the things that have become the challenges with the explosion, which is noise, water cleanliness, and those types of things. So one thing that our owner has spearheaded in New Mexico is new rules and regulations for all hot springs, which we use currently ozone and UV light to filter our water. And at Sunrise, we're using bromine in our new private pools as well. So we're trying to remove, there's only one pool at OHO that we use a little bit of chlorine because it's the only pool that we allow children in. But primarily trying to be as clean as possible with as natural ways as possible to keep the water clean. So this is hot off the press. I'm really proud to say that the Global Wellness Institute just supplies these figures last week. So it's really good data for us anyway. And it's interesting, again, to see the spa component. Even though the figures have shifted somewhat from 2013 and 2014, data recording and the data mining is much more accurate. So that's been really good. But yeah, so you can see that, again, we're really small compared to the rest of the world. But revenues is dramatically increasing, and really the spa goer is what is increasing as well. And so then expansion is hot. Iron Mountain Hot Springs in Colorado is one of the newest, larger developments. We know Two Bunch has gone through an explosion. We know Glen Ivy is going through a massive expansion. And it's demand that is driving this. This is what is so spectacular. So, as I said, OHO enjoys 130,000 unique guests annually. 85% of them are day guests. And they're asking for it. They want it. They want more social interaction. They want the mud. They want to dine. We now have at OHO, we have a 2-acre farm. So the wellness piece, and it's interesting because Sam and I were talking yesterday that I'm also fascinated as a marketer is that our vernacular and our language and our verbiage is shifting by marketplace. Wellness, we're talking about at the summit is this broad word. It's this term that encompasses so many things. And Sam was saying, in Asia that it's looked down upon almost because it weakens a brand to a degree.
Because everyone's calling themselves wellness, but without offering necessarily a genuine product.
Exactly. So we don't talk about wellness at OHO per se, but we know that that's what people are looking for. We have a special we call De-Stress for Less, and it's really people are just gravitating because they feel better instantly. And the other really lovely piece that is passionate for me is the historical significance. So between OHO and I spoke about it at the conference in Mexico City, El Camino Real was the Royal Road trade route from Mexico City to Santa Fe, and every 10 miles was something called a paraje, which was a stop for rest and replenishment because they didn't carry water. And so the areas that had the springs, that had the natural springs, were the most well-populated because people were seeking rest and replenishment. And a paraje means a stop for rest and replenishment. The other thing about what's old is new again is that we've moved away from the word spa. But actually, we all know spa means salud por agua, health through water. And so what's fascinating about the summit this year is that we're coming back to the water. We're coming back to embracing the roots of where wellness really was coming up from, so to speak, bubbling. And that OHO and Sunrise Springs, our two properties, are connected by El Camino Real. Both places are modern-day places for rest and replenishment because they are spas. And so I think weaving in spa, weaving in wellness. At Sunrise, we're doing more integrative wellness, which I think is, a lot of where things are going, believe it or not, back to the therapeutic model.